about AI and bounce back stronger than ever. And I think there's a lot in a title here, because we ourselves have had most of our pipeline postponed over the last couple of weeks. And we want to fight back. So we want to be able to give back, share content, especially with the startup scaling companies community as well. Pandemics are not good for business unless you're Amazon or unless you're a delivery company. We're spending a lot of our time on product dev right now, on funding proposals that we probably never have got to as well, and also trying to give back to the community. So it's a great time to be upskilling and reskilling around this. This is our business. Nightingale HQ is a startup that helps businesses become AI ready. We do that a number of ways, through strategy, online learning for data science and AI, and also through a partner network of data practitioners and data consultancies as well. I do particularly want to highlight the AI Connect for any of you out there who feel that you want to join the network. Please get in touch with myself or Steph. It's free to join, and we've got 70 data consultancies on board at the moment as well. So you'll have the opportunity to log on to the platform and find projects and work, grow your business, find opportunities as well. That's pretty much it from me. I will say that this is a 12-week seminar series. We have guest talks coming in from Keith Davey from Merino Software. We've Ian Kiani from Skellig.ai, Ashwini Mathur from Novartis, and Claire Dillon as well. And if there is any of you that are interested in joining, please let us know. There's just one main criteria, is that it has to be useful, helpful, practical to business. Before we go, just a little bit of housekeeping. Everyone is on mute, so you sit back, relax. If you've got questions, please feel free to put them into the chat. We'll try and answer all of them. We will follow up with presentation materials and recordings shortly after this. And please, if you don't mind, our hashtag AI Fights Back and a little shout up, it goes a long way. Thanks again for your support. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Steph Locke. She is the CEO of Nightingale HQ, runs her own data consultancy in the UK. And if that wasn't good enough, she is one of 3 people in the whole world who is awarded the Microsoft Most Valued Professional for someone who gives back to the community. So without further ado, over to you, Steph.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so Ruth, you should have control over the lobby.
Got it.
Thank you, everybody, for coming along today. So our talk is about how we can improve and kind of support our customer services staff with chatbots. This isn't just about customer services, though, because a lot of these techniques will directly apply to any of your staff who regularly face common queries that come in. So HR, finance, and IT departments could all be implementing similar techniques to cut down on the number of repeat tickets and simple things that just clutter up the day. As Ruth said, we are focused on AI readiness, but during this time right now, we're helping make sure that hopefully everybody is safe and productive. Ruth's already introduced me. I am always happy to connect with people on Twitter and LinkedIn. If you ping me and the AI Fights Back hashtag, I'll know where you come from. So what we're going to talk about today, as I said, is about augmenting customer services with chatbots.
Sorry, Steph, can I just interrupt you for a second? Will you be careful with your mic? I'm not sure which, there's a slight bit of interruption there.
Is there a hiss or?
Are you wearing a wireless mic, or is just
A
a
lavalier mic?
Yeah, it's from your clothes, I reckon, when you move.
Yeah, I'll try and move less.
Okay.
I'll be a newscaster. So yes, we're going to cover 4 key areas to help you think about how chatbots can impact your customer service function and other functions inside your business. So first of all, at the high level, what are chatbots? Where do they fit into the context of your existing set of technologies? What kind of use cases are there for chatbots? How do you make a bot and do it in a way that doesn't just make your customers want to kind of chuck something at their screen? And what sort of technologies would we recommend that you use to get started with? So this is a very high level, business focused kind of talk. We're not going to be going deep into the technology today. If you do want to talk tech, I'm always happy to do the tech side as well. So again, tweet me, LinkedIn, and we'll be sending out meeting links and things after the event. So what are chatbots? According to Steph and Adela, they are the new apps. Bots are the glue that's going to hold together people-to-people conversations, integration with digital assistants, and even with applications. We're seeing them rapidly rolled out across a whole range of industries, and the investment that has gone into bot startups has been phenomenal. So bot is a little bit of an ambiguous term. So I thought we'd first of all start off with what is an actual bot, and what other things might we be thinking of or put a bot alongside. So the first thing is an app. Our applications have a graphical user interface to perform tasks. So these are, for instance, in the banking context, the online banking experience where a customer can log in, see their transactions, manage direct debits, things like that. We then have a digital assistant. This is usually in the form of our smart speakers like Alexa, where we have a speech interface to provide capabilities. So for instance, you can ask Alexa what your bank balance is and then go and spend a large amount of money on Amazon buying something. Bots are our text interface to perform tasks. So this is everything from, if you use Slack, there's a great function, a great bot that enables you to set reminders. So you can go onto Slack and type /remind me to send an email tomorrow at 9 a.m. and it will translate that natural language that I've written into something that will send me an alert tomorrow. It's also the web chat type of interfaces, so enabling us to ask questions and perform actions, but primarily through a text interface. So the traditional construction of apps that we deal with, we have our graphical user interface. This is usually a relatively small amount of the code and the things that go into an application, because we then start getting all of our business logic. These are the things like, what is an account? What is a transaction? How does somebody add a direct debit? How do we raise a complaint? All of these bits of business process that we translate into code. And on top of it all, underpinning it all is data. Data is usually our application's biggest asset. Inside a digital assistant, the primary interface and code is our audio processing. So how do we emit speech and how do we process speech? That has speech to text under the hood. So when I say, hey Alexa, what's up? It turns that into a text representation, and then it uses something called natural language processing to work out what I meant and be able to turn that into a set of instructions that then gets enacted by skills, which are specifically coded sets of business logic for digital assistants or a connection with a bot. Typically with digital assistants, they don't necessarily have a lot of data themselves, but they will access your application's data with permission. So the AI and smart bits that the application generally doesn't do is the speech to text and the natural language processing. For a bot, our primary interface is a text. And once we have text, we use natural language processing again to take what was said and turn it into instructions that computers can understand. This is usually via our business logic and integration with our business logic that is from API, usually surfaced via something called APIs. There's a little less AI that goes on because we don't have to try and take speech and turn it into text. So it's a lot simpler, and it's usually a better place to get started, so long as your customers have dexterity and access to an internet-enabled device. If you had, and we'll go into some of the context later, but if you had a customer base, for instance, maybe the elderly, they might prefer an audio interface over a phone that does these tasks for them, and that would use some of the digital assistant technology, but would have a bot under the hood performing a number of the tasks. So what does apps, bots, and digital assistants kind of start looking like when you're implementing them? So you have your user, and you've got your app, your bot, and your skills and your Alexa integration. So your user, she can go and use the app to browse products, to be able to see what's available. On your website, you might have your bots, and she can use that to ask questions about products in an interactive way, instead of having to read through lots and lots of documentation. She might need to put laptop down, go do something else. She's in the kitchen, and so she sets a reminder to buy the product later on. That reminder might use some of the bot logic and will then call the some of the behind the scenes application code to actually store that reminder for use when the time is right. The next day, she gets the reminder, she's able to buy the product. Once she's got the product, she realizes it's damaged and uses the bot to request a return label. Again, the return label capability might already be inside your application, but it just isn't as convenient as being able to request one through the bot interface. So she gets the return label, everything gets shipped off, and then uses the digital assistant to be able to actually write a review of the product, and that ends up being surfaced inside the application for other customers to see. So we can end up with multiple touch points, multiple customer service touch points inside your application, your bot, and if you add a digital assistant capability as well in there too. So we've already seen one kind of customer journey that we might use inside our business, but we can start drilling down into a bit more detail about these use cases. So one of the easiest things to get started with, and one of the primary use cases for a bot, is to help people gain knowledge. The easiest way to get started is to surface your frequently asked questions as a bot. So instead of your web pages and your support documentation, which might be kind of 40 or 50 pages of dense detail, and relying on people needing to Google to find the answers or use your search experience, which might be a little bit old and not too effective, your FAQ bot could have the start to the information that enables people to interactively query and ask information, almost as if they're asking for an agent, without needing to actually tie up any of your valuable customer services time. You can also do this not just for simple, hey, what is a bot, but contextual questions as well. So it can be, do you have an office in Cardiff? Yes, sure, we have an office in Cardiff. What are your opening hours? Our opening hours for our shop in Cardiff is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that took some of the answers from the previous questions and used it to contextualize the responses. This gives you that kind of intelligent feel to the bot, with actually a surprisingly low amount of coding required to get the job done. And you can also use it to provide information about what's happening with your service. So you can have a bot that, if you were, for instance, a utility company, you could have your bot being ready to take somebody's postcode and say, yes, we've got a reported outage in your area. You can then take it a step further into actually doing things and say, sorry, we don't have any problems reported right now. Would you like to report a problem? Yes, no. And then take them through the reporting and outage process so that, again, they're not taking up a customer services person's time. So we're going to do a demo. You can actually do this too. We've got this on our website. So you can go to, if you want to play, nightingalehq.ai/bot-demo. Here, two pretty simple.
Sorry, Steph, I'm just gonna cut into you slightly there. There's still some audio issues there that couldn't make that link at all. Just want to make you aware of it.
Yeah. So the link was nightingalehq.ai/bot-demo. Ruth, if you could share that in the chat, that'd be grand.
Will do.
Okay. So the first bot that I made, and it took me no code to make this, is a chatbot that surfaces information from 3 different websites. So I'm just going to zoom in, make life easier. So we can ask questions like, what is a bot? And we can get answers. We can even start asking some complicated or partial questions, because people don't type very well. They want to just get the job done. So we can put in very little information, and we can put in things like typos, and it will still do its best to answer the question. Because it's using natural language processing behind the scenes, the AI capabilities are routing something weird and wacky, including typos, and bringing it to an appropriate question. This has advanced capabilities that, when it's uncertain, it might present somebody with multiple options and say, was this one helpful? And it will take the feedback from users and use that to reinforce itself so that it gives more certain answers in future. You can see with our bots responses that we have things like formatting, links, you can embed videos, you can have updating cards, and all of this simple bot here was about 5 minutes online, mostly finding the URLs, and it built me a question set called a knowledge base. So instead of needing to write any technology pieces for this, and you can get your customer services staff actually helping with this. Each person is responsible, or groups of people are responsible for writing questions and providing answers. This can actually feed from your existing websites, things like your SharePoint sites and any existing wikis or knowledge bases that you might use to assist your customer service staff in providing a good quality response. So this is just a very simple bot in terms of all it does is answer questions, but there's a lot of intelligence behind it, and it adds, it can really dramatically cut down on trivial questions to your staff. And it improves the user experience, because instead of having to hunt around on your website for ages to find something, they were able to just start typing and get an immediate answer. Bots can also work as text-like interfaces to your applications. This gives you a way to reuse your business logic and put it in a new format that provides an on-demand type of experience for people who want to work in a different way. You can use bots as productivity tools. As I was saying about Slack, if you hadn't been using something like Slack or Microsoft Teams 3 months ago, you've probably given it a go now. And there's a bunch of built-in bots that enable you to do things like create support tickets, answer tweets, set reminders, all sorts of things that can be done by a text interface that helps drive applications that we might be using, like Twitter, like Trello, all sorts of things, but from the comfort of a quick text interface. Because particularly for me, I can type far quicker than I can navigate around a web page. It gives us an alternative to forms. There's still an important place for a solid web form, particularly when there's lots of complicated information that needs to be captured. But if somebody can answer just a few questions and be assisted through the process, it can build a more dynamic relationship with the customer and give them a better user experience than a boring form. It can help us with workflows. So we're able to set up things like, I need to request some leave. So I use the HR leave bot to request some. And then the workflow then pings my boss to say, hey, Steph needs some time off, yay or nay. They can maybe ask them questions about who else is off at that time and then approve it. And then I can get a ping back. So we can do distributed workflows between people through our work bots. And that can be surfaced in things like Teams or other applications. And one of the great things about a bot is it can end up supporting push notifications. So when a long-running process is done or a complaint is handled for a customer, or you need a reminder, it can push a notification to you that is more expected than an application push, particularly a web interface application, pushing a notification to you. So a great example of this is the World Health Organization. They worked with Viber, who are kind of a chatbot social media platform. And they created an information and symptom checking bot. And we can give this a go. So Microsoft worked with World Health Organization to get the IQ and the symptom tracker. And this enables us with their healthcare bot to, with no real code, build up a capability. So we can ask about symptoms. And I'm gonna again, we're being fault tolerant on the user, which is a bit easier than search often is on a person, and we can get information. But if we're concerned, we can start going into workflows, and we can start getting interfaces around agreements, capturing of information, and get a dynamic capability and be able to find out things. We can also interrupt ourselves or make it resilient to it. So here we have a self-service appointment booking capability. So we can go in, we can get, we can pick an available slot and provide more information and be able to schedule the appointment and receive an email and mobile confirmation off the back of it. I've just surfaced this bot inside my web application, but this, the great thing about a bot is you can then go on to integrate it into even a text experience. You can put a speech-to-text capability over the top of it, so people can use digital assistants with it. You can have it respond by email. You can bring it into Slack and Teams and Skype and Facebook and all sorts of things. So once you've written the core business logic, sorry, we've got hopefully my sister picking up her French bulldog. So apologies for the barking in the background. Yes. So this bot is able to be consumed in many different formats that are convenient to our customer base. So I wanted to give an e-commerce use case. Letterbox Lab is a local small business that makes science subscription boxes, and they don't have anybody dedicated to sales or customer services, and they get most of their business currently through Facebook, because that's where parents are kind of talking about their kids and finding out new things for them to be doing. So Mia, our data scientist, set up a simple bot using a solution called Chatfuel that integrated with the company's Facebook page so that they could send messages, so that customers and potential customers could send messages through Facebook and get a response back. This was great to see, because they actually ended up with an additional sale through Facebook from somebody interacting with the bot and signing up through the bot on the first day that it was implemented. As I said, we can put speech capabilities in front of our bot, and our bot can use our application interfaces. So this means that bots can support smart speakers, voice interactions in contact centers, and it can support predefined routes for your speech capabilities to integrate with your application. And it can be a graceful fallback option for when voice fails or is not appropriate for the customer. In a contact center, if you have the bot with capabilities, you can use speech synthesis techniques. Here we're looking at the Amazon Connect capability, which will provide a voice interface that somebody would be able to phone and get assistance with things like rescheduling an appointment. You can have this as one of the, on your IVR that customer services uses to kind of route queries. It could first of all hit Amazon Connect with the bot integration, get what the customer wants to do, help them work out what the information, and then process that on their behalf without them ever talking to an agent. Or if it's something that the bot can't handle, it can gracefully move the customer into an agent call queue. So to make a successful bot project, there's a few key things really that you need to do. And they're not so much technology oriented as project and business oriented. So the first thing is, where is the demand? So if your customer service staff right now are unable to keep up with the amount of queries coming in, what does your data say are the biggest queries? Are they repeat things about opening hours, business continuity, and queries about delays? Or are they about people needing to do things like cancel bookings? Working out what the demand is and who is most impacted enables you to start thinking about the right action to be taken to help customers and customer services staff through this time. Depending on the type of demand, it could be that you just need to provide information, or it could be that you need to provide some sort of form or bot interface to a process. Generally speaking, you can move much faster if you just need to provide information. Once you've identified what you need to do, start small. Start with just that one high demand use case and get it working and see the reaction to it. Make sure that you have instrumentation or application insight type of processes running so that you can see what sort of things people are querying, how often they're getting frustrated, what else are they trying to do, so that you can work out whether your bot is achieving its goal and what next high demand situations you might want to implement, and expand gradually. There's a lot of learning curve really between building your first FAQ bot and having a company with 200 different bots. There ends up changes in the amount of kind of governance and development process and how you dedicate resource to it. So expanding gradually instead of going, right, we're a bot company now. We don't need anybody in our IT team except bot developers. That kind of all-in approach is high risk and inflexible. So once you've got your first successful bot in, think about the next demand case, build the bot or extend your existing bot to support that use case. And a successful bot leverages strong conversational UI principles. So people do not just want a form, stodgy language, or perhaps overly formal language. They don't want to end up being looped back in circles. And they want to be able to handle things like interruptions and have a smooth experience. For something like a simple FAQ bot, the conversational design might be around greetings and what they call chit chat. So if you ask your bot, how are you doing? What is it going to respond with? Is it, I'm having a great day, thank you very much, how about you? Or is it, I'm grand, what you up to? There's different levels of formality and language that will be appropriate to your customers. And they should follow from your brand identity as well. So thinking about how people will interact with your bot and what works best will make your bot more successful. Okay. So technologies that we recommend. If you have a technical team, I recommend the Microsoft Bot Framework and AWS Lex. So if you've got the Microsoft Bot Framework enables you to write in .NET or JavaScript. So if you have those skills, that's great. Amazon Lex is primarily JavaScript and Python. So again, if you've got a skill, tech or technology preference, you might want to go with either one of these. These come with some of the better compliance and governance guarantees and software development lifecycle bits and pieces that will help your IT people do a good job. If you need a less technical approach and need to be able to build bots by yourself as a business user or a customer service environment, you want to consider maybe something like Chatbots. Chatbot is a graphical interface for building chatbots and includes the ability to create FAQs. Like with Amazon with AWS Lex framework, it has a number of channels, which are ways that it can be exposed.
Sorry,
so that could,
sorry, Steph,
yeah.
I'm going to have to cut in there. We lost most of that audio there, just to tell you that. I wonder if you dropped the mic completely, might it be better, because that was completely inaudible.
I'll try it on the other side.
Yeah, so AWS and Microsoft are great when you have a technical team. But if you're building these bots as a business user, even with the Q&A maker capability in Microsoft, that's a no-code solution, it can still be a little daunting. ChatFuel is a much easier solution to use when you're not comfortable with building things from scratch in the cloud. You can use it to create frequently asked questions. You can do routing and form and information collection, and you can surface it inside channels in much the same way that you could with AWS and Azure, so that you can connect your ChatFuel bot to your website, to Facebook, and other places where some of your customers or potential customers might be wanting to interact with you. Okay, so we're kind of in the wrap-up phase now. So if I've convinced you that a bot might help you support your staff and your customers during this time, you should think about the three key kind of use cases. Do you need to inform people? Do you need to help people act? Or do you need to provide an integration point between something that already exists and another type of interface? You end up with slightly different solutions or bot structures depending on the type of use case involved. The kind of process that you'll go through for designing and implementing your bot, first of all, working out where the demand is and defining a goal. So is that we have an extra 500 customers calling a day to ask about shipping delays? If yes, that's our biggest problem right now. It's overwhelming customer services. So our goal should be trying to route 70% of those customers who are calling through another option that doesn't require an agent. Is that better through a bot or something else? For instance, would that be better as an email, an application notice, a bumper before at the beginning of the call in the IVR? What is a sensible route? A bot isn't, of course, always the sensible route. If you do make the bot, is it information or action? So we want to provide people with information, so we can have a simpler solution. We do our conversation design. How do we expect somebody to get this information? What is the right tone of voice? That kind of thing. This all helps us work out our technology choices. So do we want to, do we just need to do something ourselves? Do we need to get IT to build it? What skills do we have in-house? What are our compliance requirements? These kinds of questions help us frame what we're going to build. We then go through our workflow to get information or actions specified and structured into our prototype. Once you have something live, you use the insights through your instrumentation to understand how people are using it and you iterate and eventually scale the application or bot or whatever solution you've built. We have some resources for you. So this isn't the end of learning about bots. Our 7 quick win AI projects paper has information about the technologies and some of the project planning and some of the considerations in building a bot. If you'd like to get started building a bot today, you can follow along with our ChatFuel how-to blog post. And we have a getting started with bots post as well. And the conversation design sketch, if you'd like to go learn more about that, we've included the link, and we've included links to our preferred technologies. And you'll get all of the slides and links and everything after the webinar. Thank you very much for listening to us today. As Ruth said, our focus is on helping businesses successfully adopt AI, and we believe that through strategy, culture, and skills. And we're building the capabilities now as a startup to help businesses do these things. Do stay in touch. If you said yes to marketing, we'll probably send you a welcome email in the next couple of days, giving you an overview about us. And what we'd really love, if this has been useful for you, is for you to sign up for some of the other seminars. We've got stuff coming up with AI in manufacturing. We've got AI for marketers. We're looking at AI strategy, how IoT and AI can help remote or urban environments with lower staff headcounts. And we have even more lined up. So you can join us on nightingalehq.eventbrite.com to see the seminars that are available. And if you follow us on Eventbrite, when we launch the later ones, you'll get those popping up in your Eventbrite. So thank you all very much for coming along today. We have time for a few questions. Ruth, has there been any questions on the chat?
Yes, there has been questions. I had actually just said, Steph, that we would answer them via email in light of the audio issues, but if we feel like we can answer a couple of them now, let's go and do it. So here's the question. If the bot fails to reply to the question from the user, how do I add that question to the knowledge base?
So depending on the solution that you implement, with the Microsoft Q&A Maker and bot framework, for instance, you get a log of the types of questions asked and the responses. And if there is no response, you can aggregate that data and identify the top questions that you need to add. And you can also end up getting more detailed so that you can look and see if low confidence answers that were returned were marked as helpful by people, so that you can identify weak points in your existing question set as well.
Cool. Okay, another question here. How can you turn your website to be recognized by voice recognition?
So there's a couple of areas there. One is standard accessibility towards helping a screen reader read your site out. That involves using semantic HTML structuring. So things like sections, articles, and things, rather than just kind of keeping things back in the 90s, everything inside a table, HTML structure. To start making your application suitable or integrated into a digital assistant voice capability, usually you would make an API, so a programmatic interface to your application that can be consumed via a skill or a bot that would then be used by the speech tool.
Okay, and finally, Steph, this is when you were doing the demo. Is it an open domain bot?
I'm not sure what's meant by that. So to make the two bots, the first bot, the FAQ bot, that consumed 3 public web pages, one from Microsoft, one from Tidio, who are a chatbot software vendor, and Com100, kind of a tech website. So I just picked 3 good pages and pulled them in, and it turned them into question and answer pairs. On the healthcare bot, that used the Microsoft Healthcare Bot framework that's available on Azure. And I used the specific World Health Organization COVID-19 FAQ set that was available on there to get started.
And that is it. Can I just add before we do go, next week we are talking about AI in manufacturing. They have been particularly hard hit during this time. If you know anyone in your local community, your local area who's in manufacturing, please reach out to them and let them know. It'll be very, very useful to them. And we're very conscious that everyone's going through a hard time, but in particular manufacturing. So please do that. Another question, sorry, Justin, Steph, at which points would it be necessary for the bot to resort to a live agent?
Yeah, so typically you will set an integration point. For instance, the bare bones FAQ bot doesn't have a default way to refer to somebody, but with the Q&A, with the bot framework wrapper, your tech person can set it to talk to an agent. Or with things like ChatFuel, we also build our bots with HubSpot, for instance, some of our bots with HubSpot. You can graphically specify when this many loops or when somebody says talk to agent happens, or various other conditions that you want to talk to an agent, and it will send messages. So if you have, for instance, intercom, your bot can pass somebody over to intercom and can even pass the bot interactions that have led to that transfer to an agent, so that you can get the important context to speed up the customer services scenario.
Okay, so we're bang on time. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for your questions. And to our chatbot, Steph, thank you so much for the presentation. We will resolve and fix all audio issues going forward. We'll investigate what that was. I'm sorry for the disturbance there, but really strong quality content and insights from Steph. And of course, we'll follow up with materials as well. So that's it from us. AI Fights Back. I hope you enjoyed. Stay in touch and stay safe. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye.